Hello, everyone. Saturday morning coffee with Kendra coming right at you. Look, we're going to review all of the 14 rules that St. Ignatius put together for us for the fight of discerning spirits so that we know those voices in our head. Are they ours? Are they evil spirits? Or are they God and good spirits? I am not going to go in detail because I have already done all the videos 1 through 14. So check out my previous Saturday morning coffee with Kendra's. They go through each of the rules and get into the details on those. We have to remember that this is all about fighting the fight so that we can avoid temptations, so that we can avoid the vices in our lives and be those holy saints that we are called to be, so that we can learn the ploys of the devil when we're in consolation and desolation, where we can feel his presence and maybe even drawn to tears. We know God is there with us. He's always there with us, but we can feel him there with us. On the contrary, desolation is where we're like, God, where are you? Where have you gone in my prayer time? I don't get those little candies. I don't leave my prayers zealous and joyful, waiting to go out and love people. I feel like you've left me. And evil spirits treat us different when we're in consolation and desolation. So the first thing that we have to review that I've been repeating is but. B-U-T. Be aware, understand, and take action. So be aware that you are under attack, that you are in a spiritual war. Understand that it's happening. You can cast them out. You can fight. And then take action. And that means either resist or embrace. And those are your only two choices. Whatever you got going on in your head, whether it's you or Satan and his minions or God and his beautiful angels, you've got to discern whether you will embrace that message, that thought, that emotion or not. Another way to look at consolation and desolation is that when you are in consolation, you have an increase of faith and hope and love in your life. When you are in desolation, it is the contrary. It's the opposite. So the opposite of faith is doubt. The opposite of hope is despair. And the opposite of love is not hate. It's selfishness or narcissism. So that's another way to look at desolation and consolation. I am going to borrow my dear friend Dan Burke's apostoleva.org Discernment of Spirit Summary Guide. Okay, number 1, persons moving away from God to serious sin. When you are committing mortal sin, grave sin knowingly, persons moving away from God to serious sin. Serious sin, this means mortal sin. This means grave sin, the sin that's going to put you in hell if you continue to do it. So keep in mind always the eternal salvation of your soul and keep that in mind when you decide, should I do this temptation? The bad spirits facilitates movement through imagination of sensual pleasures. The good spirits sting the conscience to help the person turn back to God. So, when people say you feel peace, that must be God. That's not the case in this rule, everyone. In this rule, if you're in mortal sin, you're going to feel peace doing more mortal sin. That's the bad spirits. They're going to entice you to do more of the bad stuff. God, on the other hand, will poke and prod at you and make you feel uncomfortable. And that is how it works when you're in mortal sin. Rule 2, persons moving away from sin toward God. The bad spirit bites, stings, saddens, places obstacles, disquiets with false reasons. The good spirits encourage, strengthen, console, and take away obstacles. So when you are moving toward God, these are the actions of the good and bad spirits in your life. Rule number 3, Consolation, we kind of reviewed this, but it's a rule. The soul becomes inflamed with the love of God. Increase in faith, hope, and love that quiets and attracts to heavenly things. That's awesome. Number 4, desolation, darkness of soul to doubt, despair, narcissism, low and earthly things, disquiet, agitations and temptations, cowardice, feeling slothful, tepid, sad, as if separated from God, permitted but not caused by God. Number 5, desolation resilience. Never make a change of spiritual proposals made in consolation. The bad spirit's voice is super loud during this time and influential. The good spirit's voice is faint. So when you're in desolation and you're resisting things, for example, let's say you went to a conference and you were all excited and you're zealous, or even watching this video and you're like, yeah, I'm going to get up. I'm going to pray more. I'm going to pay more attention in my day. I'm going to fight the fight, deliver the spirits, blah, 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 blah. You get all excited. You're in consolation. You feel God's joy. You feel like, yeah, his courage, his power, and boom. Then you get attacked. And you're in this desolation. You feel like, I can't do this. I don't know what I'm doing. All these 14 rules don't make sense to me. And you start feeling this doubt and this despair. And this is what we're talking about here. When you decide that you're going to put more prayer in your life, or when you're going to make improvements, maybe in your body and your mind, maybe you're going to eat better or healthier for you and your body type and style and lifestyle, going to exercise, you're going to do all these things to improve yourself, that Satan is going to try and get in the way and make all these excuses not to do them. This is why don't make any changes. Meaning, don't not do what you said you were going to do. That's the worst English I think I've ever put together. Keep your spiritual new practices that you just decided to do, and do not let the evil one, or even yourself and your lower faculties, keep you from that commitment. Number 6, desolation fight. Resist desolation by increasing intensity and commitment to prior resolutions, and through much prayer, meditation, examination, and suitable penance. All right, what does this mean? Rule 6 says, okay, when you're in desolation, you really need to fight. So the one prior was resilience. Do not turn away from the spiritual practices that you have put in your life when you were in consolation, when you felt God and you were looking forward to prayer, and now it's dry and it's arid. Rule 6 says when that happens, add more prayer, add more examination, add more penance. Do an extra Hail Mary, do an extra decade of the rosary. If it's your body, do an extra rep or set of weights, or put an extra half mile on your walk. Go the extra mile for 2 reasons. Number 1, to show Satan, you're not going to trick me or fool me. And number 2, most importantly, to show God, I chose to love you, even though I don't necessarily feel you. Number 8, desolation patience. Pursue patience. Affirm the temporal nature of the battle, and that consolation will soon return. In other words, be patient. Consolation will come. We can have consolation and desolation all throughout our day. It can come and go all day long. Just be aware of that. But in longer periods of time of desolation, just be patient. Know that on every side of the valley is a mountain. So if we just keep walking, we're going to be up that mountaintop before you know it. Rule number 9, desolation causes. This is important, people. What are the desolation causes? There are 3 types. Number 1, tepid, slothful, or negligent in spiritual disciplines. Number 2, try us and test or reveal our motivations. And number 3, to remind us that all consolation is a gift to mitigate pride. So the first one is us. We just slack on our prayer life, and God is like, hey, do you only come to me for the consolations, the little candies? Do you not know that you're supposed to worship me every single day? That's the first of the greatest commandments, and not to have any other idols. Number 2, He tries us, he tests us, he pulls away the consolations just to make sure, hey, you love me, right? Not these beautiful consolations. And then number 3 is, look, we need to humble ourselves and know that it's not because of us that we're receiving these consolations. They are true gifts, that it's all God, that we aren't these awesome prayer warriors and we earn these consolations. It is God guiding us and drawing us near. Beautiful, isn't it? But we need to be humble and recognize that. So sometimes he takes it away so we know that we don't have control. Desolation preparation. In times of consolation, when you're feeling God and feeling great, consider how you will conduct yourself in the upcoming desolation. So prepare yourself. Know that you're going to not feel him and you're going to be arid and dry, but remember how you feel right now. I've made the comment to those who journal, maybe you put a little star in the upper right-hand corner of each page, and then you can flip through it when you're in desolation and look at those consolation days, and you can read how you felt and know that it's coming. Going back to practicing desolation patience. Rule number 11, humility and trust. Receive consolation with humility, remembering your struggles in desolation and God's provision. Fight desolation with trust in God. Humility and trust. So we kick our pride to the curb. We rest on God to get through this time. We call on his strength in our weakness. Remember, he will always give us grace enough to walk away from sin. If we just call out to him and trust in him. This is it, humility and trust. So remember, we need to call on his strength in our weakness so that we have faith that when it comes time, we can walk away from sin and temptation and live that holy, virtuous life. Rule number 12, the enemy will flee when resisted, but will ravage when yielded to or not resisted firmly with conviction. So this is where we don't mess around. When you feel the temptation or you have this out of whack emotion or some thought comes out of nowhere, immediately deliver it. Do not entertain that thought. Do not try to debate that thought. Do not try to convince yourself into that bad thought if it's a bad thought, right? If it's a bad thing to do. And if you do that, the devil and all of his minions will flee from you. But if you don't, and you consider it and you waver on it, and it is going to attack you so much harder. Don't yield to it. Fight immediately. Rule number 13, desolation secrets. The enemy will flee when his attempts are revealed to holy persons. That holy persons is pretty important. You don't want to tell someone that you're having an affair and it's a secular person who has also had a lot of affairs and is divorced, and you're telling that person that you're considering a divorce. You're probably going to get advice to get a divorce. But what we need to do instead is talk to holy people and share our secrets, because the devil wants you to keep the secret. But the minute it's out, and somebody else hears it, you're hopefully, by this holy person, are going to receive good, holy advice to work it out with your spouse, to stop the adulterous affair, to go to confession and make your soul clean. These are the things that are important when you have friends on the journey. You want as many holy people as possible so that you can receive the right advice. Speaking it out loud brings it into the light, and those demons have less power. Bringing it to the sacrament of reconciliation, those demons are gone. That's like beautiful. The enemy seeks to find and exploit our weaknesses, sins, and attachments. We must know and mitigate them to fortify our souls. We need to know our own root sins. We need to know our own weaknesses so that we can truly fight the fight. Because they're going to come after our weaknesses. That's why we need to be aware. That's why we need to understand. That's why we need to take action and resist immediately. Resist immediately and go to God in our weakness. Remember, he always gives us enough grace to walk away. All right, that's the quick recap. 1 through 14. Go ahead and watch the detailed videos. I hope that this has helped you. We are in a spiritual fight, everyone. We need to really pay attention. Live in that 24-hour journey today and making sure that we fight the fight, because when we do, we can live with peace, joy, and love that surpasses all understanding. It's beautiful. I'm sorry I've been gone so much this week. We spent a lot of time down at our property in Tennessee. We had some issues down there, but I believe that everything is going to be taken care of. Thank you, God. I'm telling you, we prayed and did what St. Padre Pio tells us: pray and do not worry. We did our best, and I think hoping and praying it's going to come out even better than what I had hoped for. So we shall see. Right now, I'm going to head over to the Soul, Mind, and Body group, and I'm going to share a little bit about those prayers and a little bit about how God did bring peace to me and my husband and how we prayed together, my non-practicing husband. Pretty cool. Find something more with God, soul, mind, and body, and have a blessed and inspired day. Leave a comment.